Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dr. Robert Marx, a retired professor of the University of Miami School of Medicine. This is a YouTube presentation on climate change, the hoax of CO2. This will be a preamble to what you're going to view over approximately 10 different segments. This is based on Climate Change, a Hoax of CO2 Revealed, my latest book on how climate change really occurs and that CO2 has really nothing to do with climate change. The book will tell you that climate change is real. It's advancing slowly at the rate of 1 degree Fahrenheit per century, different from what your politicians are telling you, and that the sea level rise is not due to melting of glaciers. Now, that may be in confrontation with what you're hearing, but stick with this, and I think you will find some interesting data. Now, this is how you can order my book. I would please if you would. And then as we start this, I will show you that there is my uh, email address and my phone number, as well as the publisher. We're open for questions and challenges. So this is all really transparent, things that politicians talk about, but very rarely do. Now, what's this? This is the Great Barrier Reef coral. And I'll do a little bit of an aside here because the climate change enthusiasts, or obsessed as I prefer to call them, have blamed bleached coral on warming the oceans. It's not due to ocean temperature whatsoever. I'm despondent that they do not know the basic biology of coral. Let me introduce that to you to show you that bleached coral, although you would think it's due to warming water, it is not. This is bleached coral. It's white. Now, recall that coral is a polyp. It's an animal, and it forms around it a calcium carbonate shell. That's white. Calcium carbonate is always white. Instead, bleached coral is caused by decreased water clarity, not heat. Now, what do I mean by that? Take a look at the left. You see coral with colors to it and a variety of corals, and on the right, you see bleached coral. What is causing the color of that coral? It is an algae. It's called zooxanthellae algae. The algae is a plant. That plant takes in carbon dioxide. It requires sunlight. It produces sugars and gives off oxygen like a tree does. The coral underneath it takes in the oxygen, and guess what that they do as an animal, like all animals, takes in the oxygen, respires, and produces CO2 so that the algae can live. This is a mutualistic relationship. It's the algae that gives the color to the coral. So, in conclusion, coral is an animal, it's a polyp. It has a white shell made of calcium carbonate. It lives in a mutualistic relationship with the algae zooxanthellae, which gives it its color. So, like I said, the coral is white. It's an animal. It takes in the oxygen. It produces, the zooxanthellae produces oxygen through photosynthesis. And that oxygen is taken up by the calcium carbonate, which in turn produces carbon dioxide, which feeds the zooxanthellae algae ahead of time. So they each keep each other alive. But the key to it is the photosynthesis of the zooxanthellae because that is on top, on the surface of the coral. So the coral provides nutrients and CO2 to the algae, which is a plant, while the algae provides oxygen and sugars to the coral, which is an animal. This is what causes bleached coral. This is in my own home ground of Key West, Florida. That pier to the right is called Duval Pier. That is a cruise ship. And that's actually a small cruise ship compared to the gigantiform ones that we have today. But look at the silt that it's kicking up. What happens to that silt? The currents take it out over the coral and it dusts off the coral, and they can't take in enough sunlight to produce photosynthesis and therefore produce oxygen for the coral. Both of them die. So when you hear our enthusiasts about climate change demanding different aspects so that the coral can survive, bleached coral has nothing to do with CO2 produced by fossil fuels. Instead, bleached coral is caused by decreased water clarity. And the same thing is going on in the Bahamas. And it's all centered around cruise ships usually because they go 25 to 30 feet deep in the water once they're loaded, and it kicks up the bottom with tremendous lack of clarity.